Welcome back to Screen Rant. Cartoons don't typically follow the traditional rules for character arcs, aging, and logistics. But things get even more complicated when you've been on the air for 30+ years. That's right, we're talking about The Simpsons, everyone's beloved yellow-skinned family. Over the years, we've followed the family as some wacky adventures, but there are moments, plots, and character changes that just cannot be explained. So, let's dive in to discuss characters who disappears, some major plot holes, and stories that just kind of fell by the wayside. If you asked Lisa Simpson who her best friend was, she would probably stall a little bit before finally revealing the sad truth. No one. Time and time again, we learned Lisa has no true friends. But this was not always the case. In earlier seasons, Lisa is extremely close with Janie Powell, a young girl in her second grade class. Janie and Lisa share multiple episodes together until the character kind of just gets cast aside with no true explanation. She starts appearing in background shots and many school scenes, but never has any interaction with Lisa. And to make things worse, in season 28 of the show, Janie is brought back for a prominent role in the Treehouse of Horror special, only to get brutally killed by a lawnmower. Maybe she's better off not being Lisa's friend anyway. Yikes. Despite all the insane plots and adventures the Simpsons family go on, they have always attended church throughout all the seasons of the show. Well, except in one episode where Homer decides church is no longer for him. While the rest of the family attends Mass, Homer takes advantage of the free time to read adult magazines, chug beer, and smoke cigars. Well, napping and cigars clearly don't mix because Homer sets his house on fire. But who's there to come to the rescue? It's his neighbor Ned Flanders. But why exactly was Ned home or in the area at the time of the fire? He was supposed to be at church and was one of the main people arguing about how Homer should be going still. Ned's sudden appearance at the fire is never explained, but at least he saved Homer's life from the burning flames. No matter how annoying his family can get, Bart Simpson always has the luxury and option of escaping in his backyard treehouse. The treehouse itself is every kid's dream, with the ultimate place to hang out, chill with friends, and get a great overview of the neighborhood. But the thing is, we all know Homer isn't rebuilding the treehouse every week, but there are some major changes going on. For example, when Milhouse goes missing, Bart scans around the treehouse, seemingly checking 6 different corners. Then there's the episode where Bart opens his own treehouse casino, and dozens of Springfield children, along with singer Robert Goulet, can magically fit inside. The evolving treehouse is definitely confusing, but maybe it's just our jealousy that he had such an awesome setup. Remember back in 1995 when The Simpsons flashed forward to 2010? Those were the good old days. And boy, was the vision of the future so wrong. Looking back now, the episode is far from canon, and features inconsistencies that would never occur otherwise. First off, the 2010 wedding features guests like Maude Flanders and Edna Krabappel. Both characters passed away on the show, with Maude Flanders' death occurring way before 2010, and Edna's character never reached the elderly form shown in the episode. And The Simpsons' whole non-aging thing really sends this episode into non-canon territory. Because in the real 2010, we see the Simpsons family still the same age, attending the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics. Of course, the future in the episode was told by a fortune teller, so it could be considered untrue way back in 1995 as well. For many die-hard Simpsons fans, the family's address will forever be known as 742 Evergreen Terrace. While the address has been used for multiple decades now, it wasn't always this way. Early on in the show's run, there was no consistency with the address. While a majority of the addresses featured Evergreen Terrace, the numbers were often changed. Then there was the episode Homer's Triple Bypass, where Snake's house is revealed to have the infamous 742 address as well. One of the most inconsistent addresses of The Simpsons' home was depicted in the Camp Krusty episode. The address is listed as 430 Spalding Way when Lisa writes back home, which is far off from any other address we've ever seen. Maybe the whole town of Springfield got remapped at some point. Animating a television show like The Simpsons comes with a lot of shortcuts to ensure the show gets produced on time for their signature slot every Sunday on Fox. Often, these shortcuts include using the same backdrops or sets within the show. The only problem comes when The Simpsons decides to do some flashbacks to the past. In the episode And Maggie Makes 3, we see the story of Maggie being born and Homer getting a job at the nuclear power plant. During a scene where Marge tells Homer she's going into labor with an unborn Maggie, look on the far left wall, and you can see a portrait of Maggie before she is born. How is this possible? Well, the animators thought they were getting away with something when broadcasting in standard 4:3 definition. Once released in widescreen, the photo errors were revealed. When characters like Bart and Lisa never age, it's pretty tough to have them grow and change through the course of multiple seasons. There are often inconsistencies to help fit certain storylines, rather than staying true to the character's form. This type of inconsistency applies directly to Bart and his maturity when it comes to girls. In one episode, a girl will be too close to him and he'll declare he has cooties. In the next episode, he's trying to woo a guest star like Natalie Portman. The season 24 episode Moonshine River seemed to confront this, with Bart meeting up with all of his former flames and having his first true kiss. Well, in season 26, he was back to more immature ways again, dumping a girl out of nowhere in Let's Fly a Coot and just being the young kid he was meant to be. Lisa Simpson is as smart as they come, but the showrunners seem to change her character when they are in need of a punchline, even it's something she would clearly know. One of the best examples of this comes from the season 9 episode The City of New York vs. Homer Simpson. The episode, the Simpsons family visits Chinatown in New York City and come across some sort of food service business with a collection of dead rabbits hanging in the window. As they approach the window, Lisa asks a question we could never imagine her asking. "Mom, are those rabbits dead?" Not only would she know the rabbits were dead, but Lisa has most likely studied multiple types of cultural cuisines from all around the world. While Marge's response is funny, maybe Homer should have been the one who asked the question. Let's take a minute and just think about how complicated Homer's taxes must be every year. Not only is he in and out of the power plant, but in a single season of the show, Homer is often trying out other jobs, starting his own businesses, or even making money through a barbershop quartet. While giving Homer various jobs helps create refreshing storylines, the whole process never makes much sense. His constant job switching would screw up the family budget, and there has to be a point where Mr. Burns would finally replace Homer permanently. And speaking of jobs, another character who we're shocked still has one is Krusty the Clown. The entertainer hosts a children's program, but it feels like nothing he actually does is for children. He's smoked on air, swears, attacked others, and his show has been canceled a bunch of times. Even if it was public access TV, there's no way the parents of Springfield or any other town would ever put up with the clown's actions. Not to mention the crazy Camp Krusty he helped run one terrible summer. By the 4th or 5th time he acted inappropriately on air, not only would Krusty get fired, but all of his merch, fast food chains, and other products would be pulled from shelves. His career would be over, but the clown lives on to entertain for another day. Mr. Burns is a classic Simpsons character the show loves to use for a punchline, and will often change the character to do so. Not only have we seen his age fluctuate over the years, but his physical abilities have changed as well. There are times where Mr. Burns can barely walk, and other times where he is a master on the dance floor. Take, for example, the episode Lady Bouvier's Lover, where Mr. Burns woos Marge's mom. The new couple decides to go ballroom dancing, and Mr. Burns shocks everyone with his fluid moves on the dance floor. In episodes before and after this, he could barely move a muscle, and has been hospitalized for simple falls. 1969 was an incredible year for Homer Simpson. Not only was he living the good life free from the burden of children or a job at the nuclear power plant, but he also witnessed two of the most significant events in United States history. The first was featured in the season 4 episode Itchy and Scratchy the Movie. Here we see Homer reflected back on the moon landing, and the character is around 13 or 14 years old. Move forward to season 10, and the show flashes back again to 1969, this time showcasing Homer's experience at the Woodstock concert. Homer is a lot younger in these scenes, creating some major problems with Homer's age and childhood. From the outside, The Simpsons' house layout looks pretty simple. It's a 2-story home with an attached garage. The downstairs pretty much makes sense, but the upstairs can get pretty confusing, especially right at the top of the stairs. Either Bart, Maggie, and Lisa swap rooms more than we could ever imagine, or the animators keep getting things out of whack. There have been multiple instances where Bart and Lisa's rooms are directly above the stairs, while other rooms are further down the hall. And don't even get us started on the various upgrades over the years. A kitchen update seemingly doubled the downstairs in size. Yet the house remains the same size on the exterior. The Simpsons definitely know how to find their joy and make the most out of their living space. In the world of cartoons, there's nothing more iconic than the hair of the Simpsons. From Marge's large beehive to Homer's two precious hairs. You can often recognize a character just by their silhouette, and that was actually the intention from Matt Groening. The only question we have is, what's up with Bart, Maggie, and Lisa's hair? Their whole head is yellow, contrasting every other character on the show. Bart is able to brush his spikes and style them, but you can't exactly describe it as blonde hair, because multiple other characters have had real blonde hair with lighter color tones. There's even a scene where Lisa and Bart analyze their hairlines and question, what are we? But they still provide no answers to what exactly is on the top of their dome. Despite living in Springfield and loving life in the suburbs, Homer Simpson actually grew up in a farmhouse. And the show has visited this farm multiple times, including the episode Ad Here in the story. Homer and Abe burn down the family farmhouse and watch it crumble to the ground during the closing moments of the show. Well, flash forward to E-I-E-I-DO, and somehow the family farmhouse is back up. But it's not rebuilt or replaced with a new house. It's the same boarded up house with years of aging as we saw it before it burnt down. So are the writers just messing with the timelines, messing with our minds, or just plain old messing up? The farmhouse fire was a pretty significant storyline they decided to just brush over. If there's one Simpsons episode that's been in the headlines more than others lately, it's definitely Stark Raving Dad. The episode has been banned due to the involvement of Michael Jackson and his recent accusation from the documentary Leaving Neverland. While the removal of the episode makes sense, the original casting of Jackson back in Season 3 is still kinda odd. Jackson himself was credited for the role under the fake name John J. Smith, and despite a lot of singing by the character, Jackson only did the speaking roles. Singer Kip Lennon filled in for the singing parts, which makes no sense. If you're going to use Michael Jackson as a guest star, why wouldn't you use his singing voice? And why would you fool the viewing audience into thinking it was him singing? A lot of plots on The Simpsons focus on the milestones and achievements of various characters, including little baby Maggie. In Season 4, we hear Maggie's first word of the episode ironically titled Lisa's First Word. As Homer closes the door, Maggie pulls out her pacifier and says, "Daddy." While the moment was sweet and a highlight of the early seasons, there is some confusion as to Maggie's first word. Specifically, the confusion comes from the Season 3 episode Flamin' Moe's. Homer becomes so obsessed with Moe that he says his name over and over again. The true question is, does Maggie actually say the name back to him? Or is it just a hallucination? Either way, it's hard to pinpoint what her first word actually is. Some of the best episodes of The Simpsons are the ones based off of pop culture and classic literature. Take the Lord of the Flies parody known as Das Bus. When the children of Springfield Elementary School get stranded together, chaos erupts. Different leaders take control, and plenty of laughs ensue. The episode remains one of the best, but the ending still boggles our mind every time. Instead of tidying things up and allowing the children to go back to Springfield, James Earl Jones provides a narration, guessing the person who will rescue them and picks Moe of all people. The ending is odd, and doesn't fit with the typical way early seasons would end their shows. Marge has hid plenty of items in her hair over the years, but some early artwork and production designs reveal she may be hiding something way more creepy under her blue do. If you ever spent your quarters button mashing to the Simpsons arcade game, then you may notice that anytime Marge gets electrocuted, she reveals bunny ears in her skull. That's right, her long blue hair was covering her long bunny ears. I guess we shouldn't take the video game art as canon, but we'd love to see the crazy season finale where Marge finally reveals herself as a mutant bunny. Nelson has been the town bully for an awfully long time on The Simpsons, and part of the blame may be placed on his father, Eddie Muntz. Eddie said he was going to buy cigarettes one day and just disappeared. While the cliché story helps add some depth to Nelson's character, his father doesn't seem gone for very long. He returns on multiple occasions, appears in multiple episodes, and it almost seems like Nelson lies when he says he was arrested for armed robbery. He has even appeared as recently as Season 30 in the episode Oh, Canada. Enough of the sob story excuses, Nelson. Want to make Simpsons fans angry? Well, just mention the episode The Principal and the Pauper. The Season 9 story would have been better off as part of the Treehouse of Horror rather than official show canon. In the episode, Principal Skinner reveals himself as an imposter, with the real name of Armin Tamzarian. The whole thing makes no sense, absolutely ruins the character, and ends with someone saying to pretty much forget everything we just saw. Part of the story not making any sense was a previous flashback showcasing Skinner's father, Sheldon Skinner, who looks just like him. The whole thing is a mess, and Matt Groening even admitted he does not like the episode. We all know Ned Flanders put his life and soul into his specialty store known as the Leftorium. But who exactly would shop there? We've seen that characters like Bart Simpson, Moe, and Seymour Skinner are pretty consistent left-handed writers. But other characters change their dominant hand. In any given episode, you may see Homer using his right or left hand, although it's right-handed a majority of the time. Even Ned Flanders has used his right hand in various episodes. The families around Springfield are definitely unique looking, but after watching the first couple of seasons, something odd stood out. Milhouse's parents look exactly alike. They don't look like the type of couple who met at a bar, more like a family reunion. The identical couple dealt with rumors they were related for years, and the showrunners couldn't deal with the rumors any further. Milhouse confirmed the cousin connection in Let's Go Fly a Coot, but the quick line of dialogue only brings up so many more questions. Like, how close of cousins? And how come Bart insists they are siblings? What kind of secrets is this broken family hiding? In the episode Bart's Comet, Bart Simpson does the unthinkable and actually discovers a comet. Not only does he get big acclaim for his actions, but he gets invited to a school club known as the Super Friends. The club consists of the biggest geeks in school, and Lisa is even a member. While the club makes sense, the collection of members has a huge omission: Martin Prince. Martin has proved to be one of the smartest kids in all of Springfield Elementary School, and would definitely be in the club, and probably should have been the leader. If Bart was allowed in for simply discovering a comet, then Martin would have already been in. There's no town without having the stereotypical mobster to keep things running in the dark underground. For Springfield, this role belongs to Fat Tony. Clearly a nickname, we've gotten some hints to Tony's real name over the years. But maybe he has more fake names than we actually realize. When we first met Fat Tony, he was referred to as William Fat Tony Williams. Seems simple enough. Well, up until we hear his name announced in a boxing match as Anthony D'Amico for the episode The Homer They Fall. Frankie the Squealer once blurted out his name was Marion, so what is it? Probably a secret Fat Tony will take to his grave. Wow, the show is pretty confusing if you really overanalyze it. Maybe we should just sit back and enjoy some episodes. Anything else we missed, though? We know it's a cartoon, but things can sure get confusing, especially after 30 seasons? Do you still watch new episodes or prefer the classics? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Screen Rant for more great content.